G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 169, and of course we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Isaac Quaynor and the booing situation that happened over the weekend. We'll also be taking a look at Ty Gallop and what he should be facing for his upcoming suspension. AFL Origin is back and will be going on for at least the next 3 years. We're going to be taking a look at, of course, the preview to the new round, AFL Fantasy Recap, much more. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Welcome to the Boundary Riders podcast, your one-stop shop for all your AFL content needs.
He looks at his options and Jack Ginnivan says, boys, you brought me to the club to do justice!
But this guy has flog written all over him.
From attack down, Reed sprints away from Petrarca, leaves him in his wake, takes a second bounce, takes a third. The sheer arrogance of Harley Reid. Finish the job, young man!
So let's get into the footy news from the week that was. Guys, my brother is with me today to do episode 169. Great number. I think it was almost as good as 167 a couple of weeks ago. I think I think we're done with it. We've got another 98 episodes before you can do it again. We will even remember the meme by then.
Yeah, I'll definitely be some sort of different trend that we're going on.
By then, it's what, 2 years into the future. I mean,
Yes.
nearly 2 years. Fuck, I mean, I think we should just end the podcast at that point. Fucking hell. Anyway, Port Adelaide over the week. They lost to Brisbane. Always going to happen.
Basically, yeah.
I am liking the look of Jason Horne-Francis in recent weeks, though.
Since the injury to Rosie earlier in the year, he's got a bit more continuity in his game, and he's playing a bit more midfield as the season has gone on, a bit more maturity. And the fact is that our Butters is gone, that he has to sort of take the mantle in the midfield. Yeah, and he still has to play a bit of forward. He's got that craft. So, but I think Josh Carr and him are working it well at the moment.
I think that they're kind of realising, not that they're kind of realising, but of course, Zach Butters on the way out. I think they're kind of giving more responsibility to Jason to play more midfield time, and I think he's definitely thriving in that role. Over the weekend as well, we saw Marshall and Georgiades with Port Adelaide playing as the two key forwards. Georgiades kicked 2 goals for. If he can straighten up, he would be in front of the Coleman at the moment.
He'd be on track to get probably like 90 goals if he kicks straight.
Yeah, he's been pretty poor in front of the big six, but other than that, he has been very good. On my team point of view, the Swans got a good win on the weekend. I'll talk about them a little bit later, but
back into form.
I don't know. It's kind of hard. I'll talk about them a bit later, but I did want to mention Charlie Curnow now out in front of the Coleman. Is
the role player?
Yeah, he's playing a good role as the number one with the Coleman race. It's interesting to say, not many people are actually mentioning that Charlie Curnow is the recruit of the year. But, I mean, when do you start saying that he is?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's probably for the fact is that he was such a high-profile move. It was the fact is that for him to be recruit of the year, it's like he has to basically kick 100 goals. That's the caliber that he can do. That's what he has to do. I'm like,
I mean, he's literally doing what you want as someone.
Exactly.
The key forward you want. You want him to kick the most amount of goals in the competition, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can ask for much more. I mean, there are great recruits we've seen so far this year. I think Clayton Oliver's been, he's basically regenerated his whole career, going to the Giants. A couple other players, even staying at GWS, Jaden Laverde, basically. Yeah, even one of the most improved players in the game.
Yeah. Jack Still's has done very well for what Melbourne had to give up for him. Is still very good. Some of their recruits to St Kilda, Silvani, I think's done well.
Yeah, Corey Durden at Port Adelaide has done pretty well as well. Yeah, I think there have been some great ones, but Jai Sarong at Sydney is probably as well. But you got to give it to Charlie now, surely.
Yeah, you'd have to think it's very close to give it to him at the moment. The fact is that his role in Sydney's forward line is to kick goals, and that's exactly what he's doing by leading the Coleman.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about Isaac Quaynor's booing, the stuff that happens all the way back on Thursday night. So I'm sure most of you have already heard all this by now. If you don't know why or what happened, I'm sure you'd be living under a rock at this point. He got booed by the Adelaide Crows fans for basically coming out against Isaac Rankin last year in the finals. It was round 23, I think it was, last year.
It was, the fact is that the umpire reported the slur
from Rankin
that was directed at Quaynor.
Yeah. So, my personal belief is I don't understand why the Crows fans are booing Isaac at all because he wasn't even the one who reported it. It's not like he's the dobber.
Yeah.
But anyway, nothing really happened when they both met each other in round one at Adelaide, in the MCG, and everyone kind of put it to bed. Like I think there was some stuff that happened in the qualifying final.
But the fact is that the fact is that Isaac Rankin hadn't played in the final or round one. For the fact is that he was still suspended for it. So this was the first time that both players were playing, and it was the first time back at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, the scene of the crime, I guess you could say. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, and I know a lot of people could just say, "Oh, you're just saying that." I completely forgot about this. That this happened. I couldn't have remembered this happened until I think I heard Eddie Maguire talk about it on one of his on an Instagram clip on his podcast or something, talking about are the Crows fans going to boo? And then all around the media they talked about it.
Yeah,
and then Thursday night comes around and big shock. Not all the fans. It was like a select few of them booed Isaac Quaynor when he got the ball.
Yeah.
Now, of course, those Crows fans are dumb because, I mean, for one, like you said, he wasn't even the one who reported it. It was an umpire.
Yeah.
But also, there's no... I'm not going to say stop booing because I think that's ridiculous. Like, obviously, you're allowed to do whatever you want at the footy. But I do think that you have every right to turn around and say those Crows fans are dumb. And they shouldn't be doing it. Like directed booing for, their belief would probably be the fact that Isaac Quaynor dobbed on Isaac Rankin, which is the reason why he got 4 weeks. Because that's how basically it was portrayed in the media. But then obviously the media bring all this up when it shouldn't have even been brought up, really. I mean, we should have been like, okay, Isaac Rankin's learned from this. He's not done it again. If he did it again, then I think that we talk about it. But he didn't do it again. So I think you leave it and just let it all work out. Okay, as long as Rankin's is not doing it, is not saying these slurs anymore, and he's learned from his mistake. Let's just let it go.
Yeah,
because I'm sure there wouldn't be many people around the country that are like, oh, we need to bash him into the ground. Most people would be like, let's just let it be.
Yeah.
So then the media spark this up, and then as soon as it happens, they're like, look at all these people doing it. This is such a big issue in the game.
You're the ones who ignited the fire.
You're the one who ignited the fire and then are ready to just throw gas on top of it when you see it happen.
Yeah.
I think this is hugely the media's fault.
And then straight away, like during the coverage, people the commentators are saying how bad it is. And it's like, you're the ones basically talking on radio and through the week of on your footy shows and stuff, igniting the fire. So it's like, so it's not like the people in the media are what's the word,
I wouldn't say they're not faultless.
They're not faultless. I
think they've got a huge part to play in this. And I think that I remember I saw a clip when it first happened on I think it was ABC's commentary throughout the game, and one of the people who was sitting there saw it happen, had a smirk on his face, and then went out and was saying, this is so crap. This is why we need to cool it out. We need to bring all this sort of stuff up. Like people are complaining about the media talking about it to let it go. This is why we have to bring it up. And it's like, if you didn't bring it up, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not to say that these Crows fans that did do it are completely, they are at fault for doing it. They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have been booing.
Yeah. And
they should rightfully be called out for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, do the fans that booed actually do it if the media aren't putting a massive spotlight on it? I don't think they do. And I think it was Rory Sloane and Tony Jones, of all people, I think on the footy show on Sunday, brought up this fact. It's like they completely forgot about it. And it wasn't until the media sparked it up that it became a huge issue.
Yeah.
So I think this is a huge media. This is huge on the media that they brought it up, made it an issue, and then shouted people down when they, when what happens exactly when they got what they wanted.
Yeah, exactly what. Yeah, like you said, just to begin with, though, these two teams have met twice since this incident happened. As you said, everyone sort of forgot about it. Everyone moved on, but they had to. It's like they had nothing else to talk about when it came to previewing this game. It's like, this happened. Remember when this happened last time, or when these two players played against each other? And then that ignited the whole conversation when it could have just been about the two teams that have basically been in good form in the last 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're both fighting for wildcard top 6. There's plenty of things to talk about in this game.
Yeah, it didn't have to be about it didn't have to be about an incident that happened 12 months ago.
Exactly, and it was that's what everyone was talking about, and that's the only thing people were talking about after the game. It wasn't about how, good Collingwood were or how, poor the Crows were in the second half or whatever. It was about how it was just about the other stuff happening outside the actual footy.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, I think you make up a good point about the media sparking this sort of issue, because the week prior when the Crows played the Swans, I completely forgot about this as well, but they tried to bring up the point of Wayne Miller talking about how the Swans were soft in the first half last year when they played them, when they won by 90 points. They were, I can't even remember what they called them.
A rabble.
A rabble. He called them a rabble. And I'm going to be honest, they fucking were a fucking rabble. So I don't think he said that big a deal. But they brought that up to try and spark sort of like the
rivalry or
just trying to bring up something that isn't worth bringing up.
Yeah, it was like, and I think it was on Channel 7. That was the whole preview of the game.
Yeah.
Like, the whole preview is like, this is what the Crows did last time these two teams met at the SCG. I'm like,
I couldn't even remember.
I hardly remembered it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
I mean, I understand that they've got to hype up these sorts of games. But could you not hype it up for the fact that Sydney and the Crows are fighting it out for finals positions right now?
Yeah. 2
heavyweight teams in the competition right now fighting it out. The Crows are the underdogs coming into this game. The Swans haven't been able to be beaten at home this year. And then you got the game, the Crows v Collingwood. Both these teams, only one of these teams probably make it inside the top 6.
Yeah.
But they've sparked these 2 big controversies that we've already moved past from.
Yeah.
But that's what I think of the whole situation. By no means am I trying to make excuses for the Crows fans that did boo. I think that they deserve to be called out for what they did. There was no need to boo Isaac Quaynor when he wasn't even at fault. He wasn't, even if I don't even think you should be shouting down Isaac Quaynor if he was the one who told on Isaac Rankin for the abuse. But even if he did,
there's no right to do what they did.
The targeted booing, I just think, not needed. But so I don't make excuses for that. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. The media sit there, make this an issue, and then go and then sit back and point fingers.
Yeah, point down to the people. Oh, yeah, see, that's what this is what's going to happen. This is so bad. It's like
this is what we said throughout the week was going to happen, and look what it did. Anyway, Ty Gallop. Now, we haven't actually found out if he's been suspended yet. He was sent straight to the tribunal after what he did to Mitch Georgiades in the Sunday game. Ty Gallop has made some very interesting excuses for why he shoved Georgiades, basically pushed him, picked him up, and shoved him into the ground face first. He said that Mitch Georgiades tried to grab his finger that was broken.
Or fractured, I think.
A fractured finger.
And
could you just accept the fact that you're a bit of a cunt for what you did?
He's basically coming with it's a guilty plea. You don't need to just accept what's coming. It was it's a dog act. It's a dog act at the end of the day. Yeah. Georgiades just come off concussion protocols. He's played one. This is his first game back, and you go straight for that. Yeah. And he was in a way he was sort of slung into the Georgiades from the tackle. He's just lucky he didn't hit his head when he happened. But yeah,
by no means does Ty Gallop have every sort of right to fucking grab him and shove him into the ground like that. It's not a good thing at all.
No.
And the fact that he's sitting there going, my finger's a bit sore.
It aggravated
he tried to grab that aggravated me. So my finger was a bit sore. So I decided to try and give this guy a concussion.
Yeah.
That's like someone accidentally running into you in the bar, accidentally at a pub, accidentally knocking you when you got a bunch of beers, and then him absolutely slugging you in the mouth for it.
Yeah.
How is that? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think a penalty should be? We haven't found out just yet. So what do you think?
It's hard to say because they're saying it's not a football act because it was not during the football, like the actual football action. So they're saying that it should be, some people are saying it should be 1 week. I think it should be at least 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
Maybe really? 5, but...
Really? Okay. That's a pretty big penalty.
I'd say anywhere between 3 and 4 because the fact is that's what Paul Curtis got for concussion. That's what every other team that besides Collingwood are getting for concussion. Even though it didn't result in concussion, it was intentional. What you can't tell me that's not intentional. He picks him up and drags him, pushes him straight into the ground. I think anything from 3 to 4, maybe 5. But
I think if he got concussed, I think they'd be looking at that. But we've seen how the AFL go with what the outcome is, what the injury is. I think 1 to 2 is a way to start. But look, if they want to stamp that sort of stuff out, I think a big penalty is worthy. To Ty Gallup, because the thing is, he shouldn't. He no matter what happened, like you grabbed your finger and it made you a bit frustrated. That doesn't give you the right to put someone in a hospital with a concussion. Or very close to it.
Yeah, the thing is that, let's be honest, he's not a high-profile player. So the likelihood of the AFL coming down a bit harder on him is probably increased because of that. It's not like it's a Butters or a Jason Horne-Francis that he's done it to. Yeah. Or that it's, a Dane Zorko or a Neil or maybe even an Ashcroft doing the action. Yeah. So, I think it's a bit different.
Yeah, and he's not wearing a Collingwood jumper either.
Yeah. So
no Collingwood players are involved, which would change the difference.
So if Frampton might be able to get off for this one, you know, but who knows? But it's going to be interesting which way they go, because they have been saying all along this whole year, the last 2 years, they want to step out, head knocks and stuff like that. That's the prime example of a head knock. Yeah. Like, it's so intentional. Yeah. It's high impact. Well, sorry, in his protocol, in his little wheel, Michael Christian, it's medium impact because it didn't concuss him.
He'll spin the wheel with 3 decisions if it's high, medium, or low, and he'll just fucking spin it.
Yeah. And see somehow not. It's somehow not severe because they didn't end him up in hospital and concussed. It's not high because he didn't get concussed. It's probably about medium impact.
Yeah. But it's intentional. The thing is, it's intentional. It's not a footy act at all. Yeah. It's not even near the football. So it should be a couple of weeks. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how the AFL come down on this, because he didn't get concussed, so he may get saved on that. We'll see how it plays out. But look, I think it should be stamped out. I think the AFL should set an example of this. But, with how the MRO is, who fucking knows with this lottery?
Probably the last time this sort of incident happened, like a different scenario, but was it probably Gaff with the hit on Brayshaw? Or was it something different?
I think Tom Stewart a couple of years ago laid a punch into someone's jaw. Yeah. I think it's Richmond, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, maybe in the grand final, was it?
No, it wasn't a grand
final. Oh, no, it wasn't grand final. I think it was but I remember which one you're talking about. Yeah, but I think
it was on Sean Grigg or something.
Boston.
Oh, someone. I can't remember.
Somebody, but yeah.
It wasn't Andrew Gaff.
It's probably the first. Yeah, it's probably the first time, though, since, in a couple of years, since this sort of a thing is that, like, a dog act off the ball has happened. Yeah. Really?
At least we haven't had the argument of, like, we should bring in the red card.
Oh, the taunting thing, I think people are going to bring up soon. Oh.
Have you seen the rubbing of the head shit? I'm just getting so sick of that.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous.
We talked about that a couple of weeks ago with Sydney and Freo.
Hang on, actually, just came in. The verdict is in that Ty Gallup has been suspended for 3 matches after shoving Mitch Georgiades' head into the turf. That's great timing from the AFL. They aren't listening, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, 3 matches. What do you think of that?
Well, I said 5 minutes ago, but that's about right, in my opinion. I think that, he has to, that, as I just said, basically, there's no point in me rehashing it.
Yeah. So, says here the car said that Georgiades is unaffected by the incident after the game. There's more to come, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, means he will miss the game against Carlton this week, Hawthorn the week after, and the Gold Coast Suns.
Pretty tough run, to be honest. And he's been playing pretty well in the back line, Ty Gallup.
Yeah, it's been pretty important for him this year. So I think that's... look, I thought maybe 1 to 2, but 3 weeks setting an example seems about right. So let's move on. Let's talk about AFL Origin. It is back. It will be coming in for the next 3 seasons. 2027, WA will play against SA for the first time in a long time at Optus Stadium. 2028, SA will play Victoria at Adelaide Oval. And then 2029, WA will play Victoria once again at Optus Stadium. I think it's a good idea. I think that it did succeed at the start of the year. I'll be interested to see if the players and that sort of stuff, how serious they will take it, considering there were quite a few injuries from the game last time.
Yeah, exactly. But all the players that did get injured haven't really played to the best ability this season, really. If you look at some of the high-profile players that were injured, Sam Taylor and Matty Rao.
Yeah, Rao. Jacob Wiedering as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you may be right about that, but on SA's point of view, it'll be their first time in a very long time playing.
First time since 1999.
Surely it should have been here. I would have thought the next one should have been here, considering WA hosted the first one.
Yeah, but I guess they want in a way that it being South Australia, Victoria, that in 28, like they know that everyone's going to be able to travel to that one, and everyone's going to be get there for that one.
I mean, look, they can have Origin Perth. We'll have Gather Round.
Yeah,
I'd rather that anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how we'll go. I mean, there's quite a few SA players that that will be looking that bring up a really good team. Looks like Craig McRae would be the coach of SA.
Likely,
I would say.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think it's pretty obvious. I think he played in the last Origin game against Victoria, or whenever we played last, he played for SA. So I think he'll get picked. Just hoping that a lot of Swans players are rested. That's probably my. Brody Grundy plays for SA.
Yeah, well, he might even be not that he'd be retired, but he's on the verge by now. But we don't have. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
It'd be him, Chad Warner, and then there'd be a few others, but not many. I think a lot of them from Sydney are from Victoria and from
Sydney. Well, then
New South
Wales.
Wales.
So next year will be interesting which way. Yeah, SA and WA would go, because the fact is also with WA already playing in one of them, they kind of know the different structures and stuff like that, like how to avoid the injuries and stuff like that, maybe the best ability. So
probably want to win too for State Pride. They lost last time.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. As you said, it was a great concept to bring it back, and the players. I know Andrew Dillon said that they're all the players are wanting to do this again. So, but they seem like they do.
You can't exactly take Andrew Dillon on his word, but
not at the moment. But
no,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's good that it's back, and it's going to be there for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So good all around. Now, I wanted to talk about the Swans before we move into the fan favourite segment, Rate It or Hate It. And I'm starting to think that Dean Cox may listen to the show. I'm starting to think it, because every single thing I said last week about the Swans, he did on the weekend. So, first of all, what did I say about James Rowbottom?
Chucking through the midfield.
Okay. He had, against Fremantle 2 weeks ago, he had seven CBAs. Against the Crows, he had 6 CBAs. Against GWS, has 17. Chucked in the midfield. Sheldrick gets dropped back to the reserves. Rowbottom, highest rated player on the ground.
Did you think it was a bit, a bit tough on Sheldrick to get dropped for that game?
To an extent, a little bit, but he's getting more.
There were so many midfielders.
Well, the thing is, he was taking a lot of the CBAs that James Rowbottom would get.
Yeah,
and I think it just proved that Rowbottom is the better midfielder here. And the problem is with Sheldrick, he doesn't do the tackling stuff that Rowbottom does.
Yeah,
and the thing that the third midfielder that the Swans need to play in the guards most of the time, if it's not going to be Warner, Heaney, and Golden, it needs to be a guy who plays the defensive midfield role, the contested role, who's going to get in there, get the ground ball, and get it out to one of them to shoot forward. And unfortunately, Sheldrick isn't doing that.
Yeah. So
I understand the reason why he got dropped. I think it may be a bit harsh, but someone had to be moved out of the team.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Billy Cootie came in, because James Rowbottom's actually played a pretty decent season as a smaller forward, because he's still getting all the tackles that he's been getting. He's hitting the scoreboard. And yeah, I mean, they needed someone to help out, and Billy Cootie ended up kicking 2 goals.
Yeah.
People have been saying that Tom Papley and Errol Goulden being back is huge for the Swans, and 100% it is. Both of them played brilliantly on the weekend. The Swans gone to win. I honestly would this may be a big call for some Swans fans that are listening, but I honestly think that James Rowbottom playing midfield time may be one of the most important aspects of the Swans going deep into finals. But also another thing that I said last week was, why is Nick Blakey not getting any CBAs? He gets a couple on the weekend when the game is, kind of gone, and they chuck him through there to see how it goes. That's moving the magnets, which I like from Dean. He's got to move the magnets and check things out. Cal Mills got some midfield time on the weekend as well. So I prefer that sort of moving in the magnets, check it now before it comes to the end of the season.
The pointy end, the more important part, yeah.
Also, what was the other one? There was a big change as well. They got the handball game going. I think I said that as well last week. I swear to God, Cox is listening. I mean, we love that you're on the channel, Dean. All right, just make sure to leave a comment down below.
Yeah.
But they got back to the handball game that the Swans have been dominant at this year. The meters gained with handball, I think, was one of the in the first half was the highest of the season.
Yeah.
So they got the ball moving again. Now, the Giants, I don't think played very well in the first half. And I think they got better as the game went on, but the game was basically shot before half time. But moving the ball quickly puts the other team under pressure as well, and that's when the Giants were making a lot of mistakes, and they turned it over. And then the Swans were able to get them on the counter, and, you know, forward half intercepts are huge in the game now. So getting the ball to be turned over in that part of the ground, it just kills them on offense.
Yeah.
So I was impressed by Sydney's performance. I don't think they're back. I think that they need to show this more consistently. But yes, Errol Goulden was brilliant, and he's going to be so important going forward. Tom Papley's very important. Him playing, he's a huge barometer for the Swans. But James Rowbottom playing midfield, he needed to get in there. The last 2 weeks against the Crows and Fremantle, they're absolutely smashed at clearance. He goes in there. Swans not only win the clearances, but he's having, I think he was fifth highest CBAs, with Brodie Grundy being the top. So I think went Warner, Heaney, Goulden, which is good to see him getting back into the thick of things. And then it was Rowbottom. And then I think that was when it started to drop off a bit with a couple of others. I think Papley had 5 and then whatever. But Papley was chucked through there a bit, which is good. And he obviously does, that obviously does help. But the Swans need to, you know, continue on this wave now. I think Billy Cootie's probably locked up that small forward role just for the moment with Tom Papley. Roses does need to lift. I don't think he's kicked a goal since he's returned, and he was omitted a month and a half ago because he wasn't kicking goals, and he still hasn't. And he's not doing enough pressure acts to help the team either. I will be interested to see what the Swans do this week with selection against St Kilda. They've got a couple of kids in the reserves that are doing okay. Jevon Filippo, the brother of Mateus Filippo, is continuing to impress, so I think he could get a debut soon. Jesse Detoli as well has played pretty well. So I would be interested to see what the Swans do with the young guys, because I think this is probably the time now. You've got the month to go. You've got 2 important games to come up, and then you've got North Melbourne and Essendon to finish. Yeah. So those games North Melbourne will be a bit of a danger game, depending on how they rock up. Port Adelaide, I think, is a huge danger game in a week's time after St Kilda, and also I think it's 3 big danger games for the Swans coming up, and then you got Essendon in the final round. So who knows how Essendon are going to rock up to that game?
You just rest Grundy, you just rest Heaney, you just rest.
Who knows how Essendon are going to rock just rest up? It's either Essendon are going to rock up trying to get a big performance for the end of the season, or they're going to be like, our trip to Bali is in 2 days, boys. Let's just fucking phone it in. So I'll be interested to see what the Swans do from there. But I do think it's probably time to test out maybe a debutant or 2 if they want to chest them, if there's going to be a spot there for finals. Yeah. But I think the defence is probably set now. I think that Sam Wicks probably comes back this week. Harry Cunningham's probably goes to the reserves. So someone probably gets dropped in the defence or around that line. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Sam Wicks comes in for Roses and then Lloyd plays a little bit more forward. I know I'm just rambling about Sydney here, but it's our fucking podcast. Get over yourselves. And Dean's listening, so he wants to hear my plans this week. He's writing this down. He's keeping it in noted. Isaac Quaynor also does need to play a little bit better though. He's getting the numbers, but he's not having the impact. Yeah, I don't think he's had coaches' votes in the last 5 weeks. Yeah, or Brownlow votes, definitely. Well, I mean that's obviously the most important. But
it's costing me.
It's costing you. Is you voting for the Brownlow?
I put money on it. Yes. Oh. I put him and Cozzy, which both of them. That was the start. Well, halfway. It started just somewhere. So start of the year when they were both.
I think Nick Dacos finally wins it now.
Like that. I think it's you basically put your house on it, basically.
Yeah, I would say so too. But for now, guys, let's get to the fan favourite segment, Rate It or Hate It. Now, Andrew Dillon's kind of fallen off. He doesn't really like us anymore. As we did previously mention, Dean Cox is a huge fan of the channel. He's continuing to take game plan tips for the Sydney Swans from me personally, which I do really appreciate, Dean. But at the press conference next week, just shout out Boundary Riders, please. All right, I think that's pretty fair. Shout out the Boundary Riders podcast, out on Spotify every single week and on YouTube as well. And, just shout out a couple of other things, Dean. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're taking some coaching tips from me. At least you could shout us out. Anyway, let's get to the first question or first statement for Rate It or Hate It this week. GWS needs to prioritise signing Max Krzyzewski over Jesse Hogan.
Yes, rate it. I think this is a time for the Giants. It's not a rebuild, but they need to look at the players coming through, like him, Gothard, and some of the youth players, and just some of the players that they've sort of uncovered over the last year or 2. Jesse Hogan he's been very injury prone, but I think it's time to look at the fact is that you've got Cadman, Gruchevsky, you got Daniels coming through, you've got, Darcy Jones on the injury list, you got some of this, even some experience there in their forward line. Make your whole game plan and your whole structure of this forward line to be Gruchevsky and Cadman. They're doing very well. They're doing, let them develop. And I think that, you might as well and see what you can get for a Jesse Hogan.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that the fact that they've parked his contract negotiations till the end of the year is kind of
indicating.
In my eyes, it's indicating that they want to try and prioritize Gruchevsky because I think now they've actually ruled out Jesse Hogan for the rest of the season now with his injury. I think I saw that on the injury list today. So I think they're kind of saying we have to sign Max because we can't lose this talent. Yes, Jesse Hogan only just won a Coleman a couple of years ago, but how many good years has he got left? Yeah. Even if he does get back to fit, he's only got 2 years, probably, maybe 3 if you get lucky. But is he really? He's never going to hit that height again of a Coleman.
No.
Max Krzyzewski and Cadman could become the new, John Patton, Jeremy Cameron of the club. The duo that gets them to that next, grand final push that they made 5 years ago? Sorry, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're kind of indicating. I think that's a great idea. I honestly think it's time for, just a bit of a clean slate for the Giants. It looks like Jake Stringer could also be on the way out. I can't even believe the Swans could be linked to him. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Crazy that the Swans could be linked. Honestly, don't mind the idea.
Because I think nothing for if
he goes for nothing, I think a guy who's I think he's the leading goal kicker of the Giants, this second maybe behind Toby Green. He'd be up there.
Yeah,
but he's had a couple of decent games this
year.
As
long as he's in a contract area, you never know what you're going to get.
Well, exactly. You just give him the one contract. You say just keep your skin folds down, and you're all right.
Yeah.
Pick Jakey Stringer. There's also a couple. I think Kieran Briggs now with the signing of Nick Madden. I think you let Kieran Briggs move to another club.
Yeah, probably. I think the fact is that these ruck rules are designed for more of a Madden than they are a Briggs.
Yeah, so I think you let Briggs go. He's purely on a little bit of money. Maybe even Jake Riccardi. He's not old, but where is he going to have a spot in that team?
Yeah, second ruck, forward. There's possible ability to keep him there, but they're hearing other rumours of some of their running defenders being linked to other teams, and
Yeah, I think you prioritise re-signing Lockie Ash over Jake Riccardi.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
You're looking at the players that they've got, like you mentioned, Darcy Jones, Phoenix Gothard, O'Halloran. There's a bunch of forwards that they've got there. Hannaford, who I think played a couple of games this year. There's some younger guys at the Giants, so they need to prioritise, I think, playing more game time than trying to keep Jesse Hogan. I think in the last few weeks, because I think they were close to signing Jesse Hogan, and then they've seen Max kind of thrive in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he's too good for the VFL.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, now that Ben King's basically destined to go to the Hawks, Mitch Lewis has re-signed. There's the key forward, carousel starting to diminish pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that's probably Max Gruchevsky's probably the most exciting young forward now in the market. Because Jed Walter obviously re-signed with the Gold Coast as well.
Yeah.
So I think, and Nate Caddy, I think, re-signed. Obviously, I don't think he was going to go, but he did re-sign recently as well. So Max is probably the next one up. You got Joel Amati, but he is on a little bit of the older scale. I'm still shocked that no one's really looking at Hayden McLean, even though he hasn't had a great 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I still think I'm very surprised by that because of his versatility playing ruck. But yeah, I will be interested to see what the Giants do next. But I think that they do have to prioritise getting Max signed over Jesse Hogan now. And then the last one for Rate It or Hate It this week is Leo Lombard needs to pull his head in and show respect to Christian Petrarca.
That's such a hard one. To be honest, it's a bit of 50-50. I think if Petrarca had been in that team for many years, if this was in the prime of Gold Coast last year, they were doing fine. They were getting there to the finals, and Lombard was, doing well. I don't think anyone really talks about it. So
because they're in a losing.
But because they're in a losing streak, they're in a rut. They're horrible. They're basically back to. People are saying they're back to square one and stuff like that. Both of them have to show a bit of respect to each other.
Yeah.
But I think, to be honest, probably he has to show. Leo Lombard has to show a bit more respect. He does have the runs on the board, Petrarca. He has played in good teams, premiership teams. and when you're playing, especially the forward stoppage, which everyone saw what happened, it's that, you kind of do need to know your role. And it seems like the whole team didn't know what they were doing. Everyone seemed like a bit of,
everyone's just
doing their own.
Yeah, doing their own thing, not playing a system that helps with kicking forward stoppage goals. I think there were a few times throughout the game as well where Petrarca and Lombard were continuing to run in each other's path.
Yeah.
And Lombard was getting in his way, which shows that the cohesion in the midfield isn't really there at the moment. Yeah. Or their forward stoppages aren't working at all. Yeah. So I personally think that it was like, if you see the clip, and I know the thing is, I think it's heavily been overblown. I think there's a lot of times throughout games when this sort of stuff happens. Yeah. I don't think it needs to, like, in multiple teams, top teams, bottom teams, it happens all the time. I do think Petrarca went very far because I think he was there and he was hounding him and screaming at him. Yeah. And Lombard turns around and just tells him to fuck off. And in the heat of the moment, I think both of them probably were in the wrong. Yeah. And I think that we've seen clips today of them, training, hugging it out and seeing everything all good, which I think is very much, I think it's a little bit staged, if I'm being honest. But I do think as well, like, I think they would have hashed it out in like 20 minutes after the game. Yeah. I think it would have been all sorted by then too.
Yeah. It's just that, when you try and, I think what happened in the fourth quarter or late in the third?
I think it was in the fourth quarter.
It's like, well, they were still in the game. They were trying to win, and you can have those little moments when you know that you need to kick the next goal or you need to get the momentum back.
And you've lost 8 games
in a row. You've lost the 8 games in a row, and you're like, we have to turn this around. And it was like, when someone gets in your way, you're like, I could have, if I picked it up, you had the ball, had snapped a goal. And it could have changed the momentum of their whole season, to be honest. They could have been in the wild card by the end of the season. Yeah. They lose the game, but you're trying to do everything possible, and you maybe lose your head or lose your moment. And like, you tell that, your senior... He probably could have told that to anybody, Leo Lombard, in that moment. Yeah. Like, as a flippant comment, and Petrarca, it could have been the roles reversed. Yeah, in a way,
it could have been anyone. I mean, it could have been Lombard. It could have been Petrarca he yelled at. It could have been Ben Long if he yelled at him and told him off. I mean, I think maybe it is because it is Christian Petrarca, the new recruit. It has been overblown even more to that extent as well. I mean, it is a senior player. Probably shouldn't be yelling at a senior player, but also the senior player himself shouldn't be hounding a younger kid who makes a mistake. Yeah, maybe that's a after the game sort of talk. But again, heat of the moment, things happen on a footy field. So I understand what happened, but I think it has been way overblown. Yeah. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for Rate It or Hate It this week. Dean, again, shout us out in the presser next week. We would really appreciate it. Let's move to the preview to the new round 21 coming up. Huge games to come. Let's get straight into it. A lot of 50-50 games coming up this week that will have huge ramifications on the ladder in the next couple of weeks. And of course, we'll be covering the big 4 games of the weekend. We're going to be starting with the Thursday night contest between Collingwood and Geelong. Now, Collingwood have been the form team of the competition in recent weeks, winning their last 7 games in a row, and did brilliantly after halftime last week to run over the top of the Adelaide Crows away from home, while Geelong got a big win against Melbourne last week, ending the Demons' 9-match winning streak at the MCG. So both big wins from both teams last week going in as underdogs. Now, Collingwood's main concern on the injury front this week is Braden Maynard. Of course, did sustain a knee injury. Now, he is a chance of actually playing this week. However, I am a little bit doubtful on that. I think that they won't risk him too much, especially going into this late in the season. Now, in some good news, Collingwood could see the return of Lachie Schultz, who has a chance to return. But with both Sidebottom and Scotty Pendlebury playing last week off a 5-day break, I wouldn't be too surprised if one or even both of them are rested. So a couple of changes there for the Pies. While on Geelong's point of view, the major concern for them is Patrick Dangerfield, of course, sustaining a groin injury in the win over the D's. Now, I doubt that they would risk Paddy this close to finals, so I think that he'll be out for at least a couple of weeks. Now, Sam de Koning was a late withdrawal in the Cats game against the Demons, so I think he would make his return to the lineup this week. Now, in the recent record between these two sides, Geelong have actually beaten Collingwood in all of their last 3 matchups, and when they met earlier in the season, the Cats were triumphant, winning by 44 points. But now, let's get to my tip, and I'm actually going to be going with a bit of a roughie here. I'm going to be picking Collingwood. I think the Pies have been one of the hottest teams in the competition right now, and even though I can't see them going too deep into finals this year, I think with the form that they're in right now, and the fact that I trust them a little bit more than Geelong, I'm actually going to be picking Collingwood in a very tight contest. I think this will be a very close game, but I think Collingwood will come out with the win. Next up, we get to the Friday night game at Optus Stadium between the Dockers and the Bulldogs. Now, Fremantle got a good win last week in the Derby, winning by 70 points. A slow start. The slow starts would be a little bit concerning for them. However, their second halves this season have been really scary, while the Dogs got a pretty cruisy win against the Tigers last week. Now, the Dockers continue to have a clean bill of health, which is really great for them. Did have a couple of players out last week in Hayden Young and Brennan Cox. I'm expecting both of them to return. While on the Dogs, didn't really have any injury concerns from last week's matchup. However, there could be a little bit of MRO scrutiny heading Artie Jones's way after his high bump on Vlosten last week. So if he is out, I think Lockie McAndrew probably gets the call up after being dropped last week against Richmond. Now, Fremantle have won 4 of their last 5 games against the Dogs, and when they met earlier in the season, the Dockers did come out with the win in a bit of a shootout, winning by 12 points. But for now, going to my tip, and I simply have to pick Fremantle here at home. They're just going to be too strong for the Dogs, and I can't really see the Western Bulldogs being able to stop the dynamic forward line of the Dockers. I think the Western Bulldogs defense is just not going to be able to handle it. So picking the Dockers in a 5 or 6 goal win here pretty easily. After that, we get to Saturday afternoon between St Kilda and the Sydney Swans. The Swans got back on the winners list last week after a comprehensive performance against the Giants. While St Kilda have been a bit up and down over the past 5 or 6 weeks, but their big concern would be the fact that they haven't been able to beat a top 8 team so far this year. So this is a real chance to do it. We'll have to see how they go. Now, on the injury point of view, both Rowan Marshall and Cooper Sharman were late withdrawals against North Melbourne, so I would expect that they should be good to go this week. While Campbell Lake, the mid-season draftee, did miss against the Roos with an injury, so I'm expecting him to come back as well. While on Sydney's point of view, we could see the return of Sam Wicks after missing about a month or so of football through injury, and Harry Cunningham should also be good to go after his concussion against the Crows a couple of weeks back. Although, in saying that, with the Swans getting back on the winners list, I'm not expecting too many changes for Sydney. Now, in the recent record between these two sides, the Swans have won the last 2 against St Kilda, which included that last gasp goal from Jai Sarong only about 8 weeks back now. But something to take note here, in the last 3 matchups between these two, the margin has not exceeded 5 points. So these have traditionally been very close matchups. So now getting to my tip, and this is a super tough pick for mine. I know St Kilda haven't beaten a top team, but I think they are due to play a big match, and I think they could get very close in this game. I think it will be a very tight contest, but I am going to be picking the Swans. With the Saints not being able to knock off a top team this season, that is why I'm leading to Sydney in this game. But I also think the Swans showed some really great signs last week and need to be more daring like they showed against GWS. They started to get back into that handball game. No more of this tempted football where they turn it over and then get burned on the counter. I think they need to play fast footy because I think that's when they look their best at the start of the season, which we saw a lot last week against GWS. And if they can do that on the quick deck of Marvel, I think the Swans can get this one done. Still going to be a very close game, this one. And now to the final game we're going to take a deeper dive into this week, which is the Gold Coast Suns up against Melbourne. Now, the Gold Coast went down to their 9th straight loss last week against the Blues. This is the equal worst losing streak in Dimmer Hardwick's long coaching career. While on the Demons got their first loss of the season at the MCG last week against Geelong. So both teams needing a win this week. Now the Suns didn't get any injuries from last week's matchup against the Blues, but Lockie Weller should be available after coming off the injury list this week, while the Ds will at least have one force change with Latrell Pickett going out with concussion in the loss to Geelong, while there is also some concern on Jacob Van Rooyen and Cade Chandler, who came off in the final term with a hand issue. Now Melbourne could see the return of Changwath Jaff, who should be fit to face the Gold Coast this week after missing against the Cats, while Windsor could also be a chance to return as well. Now in the most recent read up between these two, Melbourne did win by 20 points earlier in the year. However, before that point, the Suns actually won their last 2 previous encounters against the Demons. The Gold Coast are at home this week, probably gives them a better chance of a win. But now getting to my tip, and I think I have to pick Melbourne. I think you simply have to. I do think the Suns have improved over the last week or two, and I honestly think the Suns are a chance to win this game in a bit of an upset. But with Melbourne, I just think they're a little bit more trustworthy right now. The Suns do look a bit of a shambles at the moment, so I think the Ds should be good enough to get the 4 points in this one. But for now, guys, of course, let's get to our full tips for round 21. My tips are Collingwood to beat Geelong, Fremantle to beat the Western Bulldogs, Sydney to beat St Kilda, Hawthorn to beat North Melbourne, Port Adelaide to beat GWS, Brisbane to beat Carlton, West Coast to beat Richmond, Melbourne to beat the Gold Coast, and then the Crows to beat Essendon. And my brother's full tips for round 21 are Geelong to beat Collingwood, Fremantle to beat the Dogs, Sydney to beat St Kilda, Hawthorn to beat North Melbourne, GWS to beat Port Adelaide, Brisbane to beat Carlton, West Coast to beat Richmond, Melbourne to beat the Gold Coast Suns, and the Crows to beat Essendon. So guys, let's get to our AFL Fantasy recap for the week. And I mean, I can get angry, I can get disappointed, but overall in the score, I got 2,282, which was ranked 16,036 for the round rank. Overall rank went down to 10,487. Now, first of all, to the positives, Lockie Ash with the 102, Lockie Whitfield with the 104, Wayne Miller with the 111, Nick Dacos 116, 126 to Will Ashcroft. Bontempelli, I picked as the captain. He got 114 to 228. Pretty good. Sam Walsh with the 116. Jackson with the 109. Been a little bit under par in more recent times. It was his first 100 since round 15. So I do appreciate that from him to pull his finger out a little. She's with the 118. Horn Francis with the 108. And Rankin with the 103. Tagoe as well with the 91. The two players are missing out. First of all, Herbert, it's bittersweet because he got 118. That's absolutely brilliant from him. Well done in the Derby. But I'm sure a lot of people were in this boat. Had him on your reserves list and didn't have your own emergency on him. You had it on Franco or you had it on Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Unfortunately, most people had that. But still, it was a very good score in the end. And of course, did you have Naz?
Yes.
We all had Naz. 182. Was it better than last year?
Yeah, it had to be, didn't it?
I mean, I would say yes, but also he was clutch in that game against Melbourne.
Yeah, the thing is, it's so hard to say, but it's like, you're saying about two games that, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, are better than Dacos.
Yeah.
2 games in I think it was like a year.
It was exactly, a year.
It was exactly a year. And sorry, both performances have been better than any performance by Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
I'll say
I think
it's
straight on in the game now, currently.
Yeah.
Not many games have been done like that. That's. I mean, he's the first player since Gary Ablett at the Gold Coast to get over 40 touches and 4 goals.
46 and 4.
That's absolutely crazy.
Well, but he did kick. Didn't he kick 3 in the last quarter?
I think so.
Yeah. So maybe, well, not that it's patching up his stats, but it's like maybe you could say last year was better. Maybe, but let's be honest. We'll see at the end of the year. He'll get 2 votes.
Yeah. I mean, who do you think gets the 3? I mean, imagine being a teammate who steals it from him. I'd be fucking ropeable. If I was Naz and if Brad Hill gets the 3.
Yeah, Brad Hill or Darcy Wilson just re-signed. Maybe they're just thinking about that. I was like, I remember Darcy Wilson just re-signed this game. He got 3 votes easily.
Now, there were a couple of negatives from the weekend. John Noble with the 61 just absolutely hates playing anywhere other than People's First Stadium.
Well, he did play at Marvel. He like everyone at Gold Coast hates Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. Team that fucking despises it. Takes a piss on the ground every single time he walks in there. Heaney with the 80. I think that's his last score of the year. Lockie Neal with the 78, along with Lockie McAndrew. And Cosy Pickett with the 70. Leo Lombard with 35. Now, that's annoying, but he was a reserve. So I was like, okay, I'll take whatever. Doesn't matter. Rowan Marshall's going to play. And this is where everyone got fucked over, and me included. And it's the reason why I didn't make finals in the head-to-head league is because of Rowan Marshall's back spasm.
Yep.
What the fuck were you doing before the game, Rowan? Sit down, shut up, put an ice pack on that fucking back, and you wait it out until that first siren goes.
He had TDK doing the ruck work. What the hell are you doing?
Exactly. You know he's fucking useless. Keep yourself warm and ready for the game.
Back spasm with 10 minutes before the bounce?
Oh, it was like 2. They were back out for the second read. They were ready to go.
I was
absolutely
listening to the
pissed.
commentary saying, "Nah, he's done." I'm like, and you sent me the message. I'm like, "Oh, are you fucking serious?"
Exactly.
And it cost me as well because I didn't have anyone else on my reserves either.
Yeah. So I got 35 out of it, which cost me. Now, what did you get this week? So
I actually did, I think, worse. Yeah, I did worse. 22-23, which was ranked 28,300. It's pushed my rank, I think, out to 15,800, which is just horrible.
500 away from me now. 5,000 away from me now.
Yeah. So let's look at the positives. Brad Hill getting back into form, 131. I'm just not mentioning the same ones you did. So Zach Merritt, I say 97. I think that's okay for the fact that he just had a bad.
I don't think anyone else played very well for Essendon in that.
Noah Anderson, he had a better first half. I thought he'd be better in the second half. He got 97, I thought, but
wait, he got
110. Sorry,
okay.
Got 110. I thought he would do a bit better than that. Caleb Sarong in the Derby, he was on track to have a horrible game. I think his last quarter was very good. Brodie Grundy coming back into form with 106.
He should have done a lot better though. He was best. He was absolutely insanely good in the first half.
Yeah.
10 score involvements was insane, and they just kind of said, "All right, I'll call it down, boys," in the second half.
Yeah, let's just get that was all the positives. Let's go to the negatives. Wilkie 61. Can't get the intercept game.
To be fair, you got him as a last ditch effort,
and it
when
worked
you got
the
him,
first week.
and then
hasn't.
since then it's been
I
shit.
think it's only in the last 2 weeks, and he hasn't really performed. Bowie 84. It's, to be honest, it's actually okay for the fact is that that's where he's basically getting all year. Where Hooker Hahn 72, he's just because of the fact is his cash generation is basically stopping. Dawson 99, Bailey Smith 95 against Collingwood against Melbourne, who don't really tag. He should probably doing a lot better. Finn Callahan getting injured in 72. I knew that was a bad move.
James Jordan tag. James had him locked in for most of the game. Anyway.
Yeah, and the last one I want to just mention is Shea Bolton. Like, he just is so up and down. It's
so stupid. I can't believe he's focusing on the premiership when the AFL fantasy season's still going.
Exactly. You know, it was my last chance to do something this season. But yeah, that was it for me. Besides, I had Herbert, not emergency, so bittersweet. Yeah. And the fact is that the other injuries I've got is Franco as well, so that also helped on in the end, Franco being injured at the end of the derby.
Yeah, exactly. I have to think about that trade too. For now, I've got my trades done. I've got rid of Leo Lombard for Pucker or Puker. I would like to call him Puker, but I don't know. But it's just a basement player at this stage. And then I've got rid of McAndrew, and I've picked up Max Gawn. Now, both of those players I've had since the start, Lombard and McAndrew. So, good effort from both of them. I'm not going to scream at you, Leo, all right, like Christian Petrarca just berated you on the field. I respect your efforts you've done throughout the year, but I've gone with Max Gawn. I think that's time to go to the run.
And who have they got this week?
They got the Gold Coast. So against Ned Moyle, I don't know.
Should be all right.
Look, I don't know. McAndrew looks like he could be ill and may miss the game as well. Against,
it's probably about time that
Essendon.
that people are saying that they've got to try Riley O'Brien just in case something horrible happens.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Max Gawn at the moment, but I'm pretty happy with that. If Rowan Marshall is out, I may change the trade. We'll have to change the trade, get rid of Marshall, and then change it. Hopefully McAndrew does play. We'll have to just wait and see. But, at the moment, I'm fighting for the loser bracket of the finals in our league. So not much to play for, but, still a little bit more. Unfortunately, Hul Kahan still sits in my team, which, he's averaging 74. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I do wish that I had an option of... I do wish I kind of bit the bullet a couple of weeks ago and got rid of him and picked up another player in the defence to have 6 premium defenders, but unfortunately I didn't make that move, and now I've got 4 weeks with him. Well, I got him this week and probably for a little bit longer, because there are probably players that are going to start getting rested soon. Towards finals, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But that's pretty much how my team's looking. We'll go into my captain and that in a moment. But what are your trades for this week?
So I got rid of Fitzgerald. I think that his cash generation's done, and it's not. I think maybe he could get rested in a week or two. I got Polkinghorn from Geelong.
He's done well.
Yeah, he has. He's got consistent. I think he got 2 consistent 60s, which is capable of a good forward. I got rid of Finn Callahan and I got Errol Goulden. I was going to go Heaney or Ashcroft, but I thought, Goulden's coming off 140. His cash generation will probably hover around that. He's not going to lose more cash. And it means that next week, maybe I can get rid of a Hul Kahan to a premium type of defender. And then there is 6 premium defenders in my team. And that will, as it's the same with you. I'm not making finals, so it's not going to make a big deal. But I kind of want to try and fight for top 10,000. And even though I am 5,000 away, I've got four weeks to do it.
4 weeks to see if you can try and get back in. Yeah, so I'd try to break into the top 10,000, maybe the top 8,000 if I'm lucky. Let's look at the leagues. Just quickly on the captains. This moment in time, I'm going to go with the vice captaincy on Bailey Smith against Collingwood. He usually has a good record against them, so that's where I'm sitting at this moment in time. And Jordan Dawson, I'm going with as captain. Look like you're going the same.
Yeah.
Against Essendon, I think everyone banks in on them. So it is a little bit scary to wait till right to the end of the round to pick your captain, but I think a lot of people will be sitting on Jordan Dawson this week.
Yeah, there's just so many tags or tough matchups for every other midfielder that most people will look at.
I think Ashcroft against Carlton isn't a bad shout. He's done really, he's averaging 125 in his last 3 games.
Yeah, even like someone like Sheasel against Hawthorn. It's down in Tassie. He's always had a better record. He's had a good-ish record, but you just don't know what Hawthorn are going to produce, and that or like Dacos, he'll get mullined 100%.
He'll get mullined. So unfortunately,
I mean, look, I know people are saying like he did well against Mullen earlier in the year, but I think he only got 95. So I think fantasy-wise, I don't think he's got... I can't see him getting 130. Let's just put it that way.
No.
I don't think he's going to do what he did. He's done to other taggers this year.
The only other option I actually had was Lockie Ash or Whitfield against Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide actually conceded a lot of points to running defenders. That was but I'm just too hesitant to do it again with it being Ash and Whitfield. It's the fact is that who do you pick? Because you feel like you pick, especially I think you do have both. Which one do you go?
Yeah.
They could both get 120, but more than likely one will get 130, the other one will get 90.
Yeah.
But likely, but that's just, you're just thinking out loud of that one.
Yeah. So your captain and vice is Bailey Smith and Jordan Dawson.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's get to the head-to-head league first of all. And I missed out on the finals bracket because one, my brother couldn't win, loser, and I couldn't win my game. So, I choked, my brother choked, it's okay.
It's Rowan Marshall's fault.
It is literally Rowan Marshall's fault. I lost in the end by 48, which means, what's that? Marshall would have had to score 48, so that's 83. Now, look, TDK was back, so there's no guarantee he would have got that. But I feel like there would have been a lot more of an opportunity to. Yeah. And I wish I somehow got Max Herbert scoring something.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't get all you want. And you lost by 14 points. See? I thought you nearly won. I thought you got fucking killed.
No, I literally would have won. That's how bad, how unlucky I actually was. I was in front for most of the week, and with Naz's score, I was actually going to win.
Oh.
And then, Rowan Marshall being laid out, I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. And like I said, if I captain Naz,
imagine if you did.
Oh,
I don't think many people
I would have never stopped talking about that one, how I picked that one.
But guys, I picked Naz as my captain.
I just thought O'Sullivan was going to go to him easily.
Well, he did, but he didn't do very well.
No, he didn't. 46-4.
Yeah, exactly. Do better. Looking at the ladder, though, it looks like Oliver Stinks did finish with the minor premiership up the top with 17 wins and 3 losses. Did very well. Considering his overall score on the ladder, he moved to second last week, but he's been sitting around third or fourth on the overall ladder for the head-to-head league throughout most of the season because Butters My Buns has been top of the table all season. He's doing absolutely crazy, but he goes in second seed in this into the final. So you wouldn't want him.
No.
I wouldn't want him anyway. So as the final 8 stands, it sits with Oliver Stinks in top spot, Butters My Buns in second, the Great Wall of Jinby in third, No Jaw Brayshaw in fourth, Sean 93 in fifth, Mad Mate Dave in 6th, Bont Was Robbed in 7th, and then Goonaville in 8th. Those are the actual finals participants. And then the loser bracket is I'm in 9th, the Baz and the Furious is in, that's a good name, bro, in 10th. You drop down to 11th. I'm playing the same guy I did last week who beat me because he didn't even have Rowan Marshall. He had Brad Hill and he got 131. So I'm playing him again. I'm looking for redemption. He's moved into 12th. Delusional Falls in 13th. Crips Don't Lie in 14th. Blue Fire in 15th. And then Flinny Winnie, who did not win a game the whole season, is in 16th. So I think that's the guy with the Sydney Swans Gold Coast team. But all of a sudden he's done trades in that. So he's got James Jordan as his vice captain. Very interesting choice for captain. Nick Dacos, Jake Saligo. So I think this guy's just picking his favourite players, which is more than fair. But unfortunately, you ranked overall 123,243 overall rank. Fucking hell. Well, good luck, bro. I mean, we hope you do better next year, but I don't think you will. If he wins any of the finals, I'll give him a $100 gift voucher to the AFL store. We're already giving one to the winner of the head-to-head league and the Open League.
So at the moment, you're predicting Butters My Buns is going to win both, right?
Well, I can't see him losing. If he loses, that's an all-time choke. So looking at it it's nice how the AFL Fantasy app calls it the loser bracket, the consolation bracket.
I know, but
that's really nice.
Yeah, it's so much sweeter.
It's so much nicer calling you the loser. So that's basically the first finals. Oliver Stinks goes up against No Jaw Brayshaw, first and fourth. The second qualifying final is Butters My Buns up against the Great Wall of Jinby, which is Butters My Buns, I think, is the red hot favourite. 5th versus 8th is Sean 93 versus Goonaville, and then the second elimination final is Mad Mate Dave against Bont Was Robbed. Bont Was Robbed is actually, I think, a bit of a smoky to go deep because he's third in the overall score from the ladder this season. But
It shows that I nearly beat him last week.
you were very close. I mean, he kind of got the same deal as me. He lost Marshall's score, got Lombard's score. All right. Open league now. Butters My Buns is still on top. He's out in front by 500 points on second spot. So he's guaranteed to already win one AFL voucher, $100. So can he get two? We'll have to see. Oliver Stinks is in 5th spot in this league. So I don't think you can do that, but maybe he can win one if he can somehow swoop in and get it from here. Only lost 3 games throughout the minor rounds. Good on him. Moving down the ladder, I am in 19th spot, dropping 2 spots, and Delusional Fools has jumped on top of me. That's interesting because he is, I think, finished in 13th spot in the head-to-head league, and he's in front of me on this league. So shows you got to win the games and lose the games in the head-to-head league. Going down the list, you are in 33rd spot, so not the worst place in the world. Like, I think you can make a bit of a run for it. Goonaville is in 43rd, by the way, and he made it into the finals. Unbelievable. I think he's fucked up his team, but anyway, that's basically looking at the overall ladder as well. I'm calling it though. I think that there's going to be a bit of a deep run from what's his name. Bont was robbed. I think Bont was robbed can make a bit of a run from 7th spot in the head-to-head league.
Yeah, I think he can.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good score. He's
as long as he doesn't play Butters My Buns, which he
would play him if Butters My Buns loses the first final and he goes on and wins it.
Ooh.
So that could be a very interesting semi-final, or they wouldn't meet each other till the final.
Yeah.
So I think they could make a deep run. But guys, that's pretty much all we have for you this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 169. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it and want to show it to a mate, of course, make sure to share it around. If you listened over on Spotify, make sure to leave us 5 stars and make sure to follow us. You're notified on the podcast every single week. Make sure to like and subscribe over on YouTube. And overall, just have a good, wholesome week. That's shit. I'm keeping that in as a bad outro just to fucking, show that I can do better. Leave it as a bad example. Dean, if you're listening again, leave a comment down below. Let me know your game plan this week. I'll critique it and let you know if we should go with that or not. Thank you for listening, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.